Hello everybody, it's TannerFishies here, back again with a new Ninjago video here on the channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a common Season 16 criticism that I've seen throughout the community thus far. Even though the season is not technically out just yet, I'm of course referring to the summertime 2022 season, whether you call that Season 15 or Season 16. Once again, irrelevant to me what you call it, I really don't care. But yeah, like I said, we're going to be taking a look at some common criticisms that I've seen throughout the community regarding this upcoming Ninjago season. And that's the plan for today's video. I don't plan on covering any major spoilers regarding Ninjago Season 16. I know there's been a lot of leaks and speculation out there revolving around spoilers and whatnot, and this video will not contain any major spoilers, but just to be safe, if you want to avoid any and all talk about Ninjago Season 16, I'd recommend clicking off the video, watching something else, and also this video may contain some speculation on the part of myself, not really confirmed as fact though. Obviously speculation is speculation. You have been warned for both spoilers and speculation. So one of the biggest issues that I've seen people have with Ninjago Season 16 is based upon the leaks. It seems like it's going to be a pretty big season featuring many returning villains and a lot of aspects and characteristics that make this season feel like a conclusion. And to a lot of people, it seems like we're speed running to an ending here. The common concern that I've seen regarding Season 16 is that it will be a rushed season. Ninjago is just rushing towards the very end, not really taking its time to get to a solid conclusion. With all of the villains coming back, some folks have been pointing out that this entire arc with the villains returning, the Golden Power coming back, and in the case of the Overlord, him potentially returning as well, essentially everything came out of nowhere and now we're suddenly at a conclusion. And I can kind of see where these concerns are coming from. The concerns over this season being a rushed finale, I think are pretty warranted judging from the leaks right now. It does seem pretty overwhelming just reading about everything that's going to be in this upcoming season, and I would like to go over a few of these concerns revolving around the rushed season idea and maybe explain them a little bit better, maybe explain my perspective on them. I do understand where people are coming from, but I do think that we kind of need to wait until the actual season comes out before we can officially pass judgment. With the idea of a rushed conclusion, again, I can kind of see where fans are coming from here. I don't think people have an issue with an actual conclusion season being like this. I feel like this is exactly what a lot of us expected for a Ninjago conclusion. However, the problem arises when fans state that Seabound's ending pretty much set up nothing for this big finale and now it's suddenly here. It doesn't fit the current story, but in a way I would argue it kind of does. Even though Seabound literally set up nothing for this upcoming Ninjago season, the conclusion of Ninjago if you will, not the conclusion of the entire, Ninjago brand, but maybe the conclusion of this specific story, I can agree that it doesn't really seem, I guess, related to the ending of Seabound. However, you could argue that Seabound pretty much ended Nia's story, and in a way it kind of did. Nia's story is of course complete now that she's become one with the sea, actually reaching her destiny and becoming one with her elemental power. So in a way you could argue that yes, Seabound ended Nia's story, and maybe Season 16, or whatever you want to call the summer 2022 season, it could be the conclusion to the rest of the team, Kai, Jay, Cole, Zane, and especially Lloyd. However, various Ninjago leaks do suggest that Nia herself will be returning in Season 16, which I feel like a lot of us expected already, so maybe this isn't the best explanation of how this season does fit into its current slot. But then again, you could always talk about how this is the conclusion of the Vengestone arc, which has been a running thing throughout Ninjago for the last couple of seasons. The Vengestone Buyer / Crystal King arc has been in the background of Ninjago for quite some time now. Ever since Ninjago Master of the Mountain came out, this plot point has been a looming threat, and we also saw a few components of this arc during the first couple of minutes of Ninjago Seabound. So even though the ending of Seabound really didn't set up the next Ninjago season, I would argue the opening definitely did. In terms of old villains coming out of nowhere, again, people have been complaining about that as well, saying that a lot of these villains are just kind of coming up literally out of nowhere, but keep in mind several of these villains that are returning didn't get proper send-offs of their stories, or their stories could still be continued, which makes sense to me. Characters like the Overlord, Pythor, Mr. E are all rumored to be coming back in Season 16, and if those characters return, I'd be okay with that because like I said, those stories have not yet been concluded. Pythor's storyline has been left unresolved since Day of the Departed. The Overlord has been non-existent ever since Ninjago rebooted. So those storylines could very well continue, so I'm not super upset about that. Again, Seabound did nothing to set up those specific characters coming back, but they did allude to the Vengestone Buyer threat, which I feel like all of these returning villains will tie into. For other characters that are returning, like Asphira and the Skull Sorcerer, I mean, those storylines could very well be continued, especially in the case of Asphira. I don't feel like the villains coming back and multiple villains returning and teaming up is that much of a departure from what we've seen from Ninjago prior. I will agree though, Seabound could have done a better job at setting that up. It does kind of feel like this plot point is coming out of nowhere. And all of these common criticisms that I've seen about Season 16 can basically be summarized by one sentence. For a lot of Ninjago fans, this is a very awkward place to end the story, if this truly will be the end. As I mentioned earlier in the video, according to many Ninjago fans, it almost seems like the Ninjago staff is speedrunning towards the end. Some folks would argue that maybe the story itself doesn't really seem to fit the current era of Ninjago. The Season 16 plot, from what we can see from the leaks, really doesn't line up with what we can actually see in the Ninjago story following Seabound. Maybe a few more years down the line for sure, but as of right now, some people in the Ninjago community just don't want to see a conclusion at this current point in time. I feel like people would much rather see a season closer to what Seabound ended with the ninja focusing on finding Nia and bringing her back to the team. Maybe the entire season could be about that. And while I do feel like that would be a side story to this season, and we most definitely will see something like that once Season 16 starts airing, ultimately, in my own personal opinion, I don't think an entire Ninjago season can be carried by that one specific aspect. I think it could totally be a part of Ninjago Season 16, don't get me wrong, but overall, the storyline with the villains coming back, the Vengestone arc concluding, I feel like this season is perfect for that opportunity. Even though to some people it might seem like a little bit of a rushed idea, maybe a little bit of a speed run towards the conclusion, like I said, all in all, I feel like this will easily wrap up the ending of Seabound while also playing off the ideas that were established towards the beginning of Seabound, sandwiched in between what we saw at the beginning of the season and what we're about to see towards the very end of the season. I personally am fine with this. Like I said, I don't feel like there's any reason to be concerned over this, but I can understand why some people do have those initial concerns. But we need to understand at the end of the day that all of these concerns that people have are based on what we can see from Ninjago leaks, which of course are not going to be 100% accurate. While some of these sources leaking information are in fact credible to an extent and have gotten things correct in the past, that doesn't mean that everything they say will be correct. Some things may in fact vary, and truthfully, not everything you read on the internet is going to be 100% true. I feel like once we get official, solid information from LEGO or the Ninjago team directly about this upcoming season, I feel like a lot of the concerns will be put to rest. Right now, it's kind of overwhelming for the community with all this information coming out of nowhere, and I can totally see why some people have their concerns. And with that being said, you guys, that'll pretty much wrap it up for my video here today, just going over a couple common concerns that I've seen for Ninjago Season 16 thus far from the Ninjago community. Again, in terms of the season being rushed, I think we don't need to worry about that. We'll just have to wait and see when we actually get official information from official sources, like I said. So thanks a lot for watching. Leave a comment down below discussing what exactly you think about this video, and what do you think about some of the fan concerns over Ninjago Season 16. Do you agree with those concerns? Do you have concerns of your own regarding the next Ninjago season? Leave all your thoughts down below in the comments, you guys, and hopefully you enjoyed today's video. That'll pretty much wrap it up from my thoughts here today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and as always, check out the links down below in the description from other forms of social media. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Once again, you guys, my name is TannerFishies, and with that, I bid you farewell.